Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on August 5th, 2022 at approximately 6:41 a.m. PST. Well, stumbled over that. I returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind everybody in existence that working together we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I build myself as a spiritual guide, which really boils down to this. The tools I offer are the ones that I personally use in my own life. The philosophies of life I talk about are the ones I personally live by. Okay, now this does not make them the best. But that said, I follow only three laws. Okay, I follow the three karmic laws. Be true to yourself first. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Energy out, energy in. Okay, now, if you take a look at all the laws that you follow, whether they're societal, legal, family, or if they're from a support group, spiritual, doesn't matter. Take a look at every single one of them and compare them to the three that I live by. And I do believe that you will find that they all fit inside those three. Okay, now, I've talked about starting things over a number of times. But quite frankly, what I've come to realize is when I'm talking about starting over, I mean literally as of today. Okay, let's talk about success. How do you figure out whether or not you're successful in your life? Not in mine, not in my perception. Okay, are you content with the way your life is going? Okay, is your business doing what you desire it to do? Now, understand, your business may be running a beautifully run household. That may be what you consider a successful business. Because understand, running a household and running a business is identical, financially speaking. You have to take a look at your overhead. You have to take a look at the cost of goods. Okay, how much is it costing you to bring stuff into your house to operate? You have to take into consideration cost of shipping, cost of transportation. If you're going to leave your house, if you've got a vehicle, these are costs that must be dealt with. Okay, so that's the first thing you have to look at. Now, where it comes to a business, okay, what's your definition of a successful business? Not what's my definition, but what's yours? Is your definition a nice little community, a nice community restaurant or corner store? Is that your definition of success? You've got a store up and running. That's great. You're happy with it. This is fantastic. Okay. It is not for me to take a look at you and go, oh, it's only a corner store. Corner stores are the backbone of grocery shopping in today's world. Okay. In so called first and third world countries, a corner store is your local market. Okay. So that's the first thing you have to figure out. What is your definition of success? Not what is mine. What is yours? Now, to start with, you have to, and where did it go? Right there. This is a gateway door right here. This little sign. I am worth it. In any language I've come across, whether it's spoken or otherwise. Those four words are the most effective, the most effective combination I've ever come across regarding rebuilding self-esteem, self-worth, self-improvement, all of those things. You have to come to realize that you yourself are worth that. Again, that ultimately is the first gate you have to look at. Now, the second one, okay, is we take a look at this little sign. Now, this is regarding the household, okay, which is why I say we, because like I said, this is working together. We can make this a better world, okay, for virtually everybody. But what you start with is this 3800, okay. That is the amount of money that you desire to run your household with. Okay, your household, your business, doesn't matter. That's to run it for 1 month. So you go, we have legally acquired a minimum of $3,800 by August 31st, 2022 at 23:59, which is military for 1 minute to midnight. Okay. Now, if you're running your own business, okay, then you've got a second one. Inner Voice Enterprises has legally generated a minimum of $700 by August 31st, 2022 at 23:59. Again, 1 minute to midnight. Now, this is done at the beginning of every month. Okay. So in September, what I do is if I break that 3,800. Now in July I didn't. I only made 36 something, but here's the kicker. I only require 2,500 to run my household. Okay. So I've got this goal in place. If you haven't got it in place already, okay, sorry, got to back up half a second. Those 4 words. I've got a copy in my office, a copy on my fridge, and a copy on my front door. Okay. Now, the reason for that is because it is a constant reminder to me that, and you'll find the same thing, you put it in those 3 places. Your office being wherever you work on your finances. Okay. They are a constant reminder that I personally have the value. This is why I'm doing this. Now, I'm 59 years old. Okay, and my hope is that by laying this out for you, regardless of your age, if you're older than I am, maybe this will give you that kickstart to get back on track. If you're younger than I am, hopefully you can get on track before you get to my age, because I'll tell you, it's a pain in the neck. Okay, the idea is lay out what I've gone through, lay out the steps so that you can figure them out for you and implement them in your own life. I know these tools work because I'm using them. Okay, so you start off with that. Now, I've already got my office laid out properly, which means I don't have to worry about the energy in my office, in where I work on my finances. Okay, I've already done that today before I got started, and net result, everything's working fine. Now, this is where it gets a little bit more directed. Okay, I know where I'm starting. I'm starting right here. I went through my finances the other day. Let me just pull this down so I can actually see it easier. Okay. I went through my finances, and I've got 3 accounts that I pay attention. I pay real close, 5 accounts, in order to run my household properly. Because understand, finances don't care one way or the other what you're feeling. Okay, they don't care how you're feeling. It's great if you wake up in the morning and go, oh, I'm really sick, I don't want to go to work. Your money won't care. It just won't do anything different than if you were at work. Okay. Now, there's an old saying that goes, an honest day's pay for an honest day's work. Okay. And that means you desire your life to change. You're the one going to have to get off your tail feathers to make it happen. Now, I watch 5 accounts very closely. Okay, my minimum account, which is what all of my income comes into, as far as work and government goes, it all goes into there, and it all goes back out. The automatic payments all come out of there. Okay, I pay attention to my all inclusive account, right, which is what I do any of my incidental buying from. Okay, I keep absolute tabs on that one, to the point that I know it matches penny for penny in my records as compared to the banks. Then I keep an eye on my business account. Okay, and same idea. Keep it penny for penny. Make sure there is no discrepancy. Now, I do this on pretty much a daily basis. Okay, the other 2 accounts I pay close tabs on are my one credit card. Okay, that's the only one. Okay, if you can have as many as you'd like. Okay, but only one gets qualified as a daily expense. So I keep absolute tabs on it, and I know every bill that I put through it. I double check. I know they're my bills, so that I don't have to worry about something coming up that I'm not aware of. And because I operate with PayPal, okay, and to be clear, the email I operate out of PayPal with is innervoiceenterprises@yahoo.ca. I keep absolute tabs on that in order to keep ahead of the game. Okay. So that I know, because that gets tacked into what my business is doing. Okay. Those 5 accounts I keep close tabs on. Now here's where it leads. Okay. You decide what your idea of success is. This little duotang. Okay, and this is what I'm working on today. You'll notice it says IVE, corporate structure. Now I'm a one-man person right now. Well, actually, in all fairness, I'm now a two-man company. Okay, but I have it worked out to the point, and I've got to go back through and double check numbers and what have you. But to run your business, if you haven't done this already, this will undoubtedly, in my opinion, save you a whole lot of hassles. Now, I call it a policy book. Some people call it an operations and procedures book. Now, what it requires, okay, and while I'm doing this, I'm just going to do this because, quite frankly, I'm going to be, like I said, I am rebuilding the whole 9 yards. But what I've got here, and I'm just pulling it out because I'm rebuilding. By the way, this is a live recording, meaning whether or not, whether there's hiccups or what have you, you'll get them all. Okay. Empty. Okay. Now, the thing is, okay, by the way, if you like the video, do give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel because we're going to go through an awful lot of change over the next little while. A lot of information. And if it applies to you, great. Take it and accept it and work with it. If it doesn't apply to you, disregard it. Okay, let's face it. We are talking about, from what I gather, I think about 7.9 billion people on this planet. And I have to refer to things in a vastly gross definition. Okay. But if you haven't got a policy book, okay, or a book for operations and procedures, make one. Now, what I found works, okay, is you put the date down, okay, whatever today is. When I do it today, I'll be making my policy book effective immediately, as of today, okay. Each policy you come up with, list what the policy is, whatever it is, okay. List the reason the policy was made, okay, and the date you made it. So realistically, you write the date down. What is the policy? Okay. Now, here's a simple one for me. Okay. This is one of those ones that I had on before, and I will be reproducing. But because I run my own business, in order to keep things running smoothly, I have to literally look at it and go, okay, I've got my own business. When does that business? Ow, that hurt. No warning, but excuse me. And I just bit my tongue. That's your useless piece of information. Sorry about that. Unfortunately, when you sneeze, you end up doing that, sometimes with no warning at all. Remember that thing I mentioned about it being a live recording? So, when you're running your own business, okay, I find it best, okay, for me personally, on the 15th of the month, okay, which is when I get paid for a regular paycheck as well. on the 15th day, on the 15th of the month, and the last day. I will be going into my business and pulling money out of it, so I am getting paid. Okay, but I'll be working that out, and the reason for that, like I've got it here, right? Continuity of financial records and tracking of business growth. That's the reason. So you put the date down, the policy, and the reason for the policy. Then every 3 to 6 months, I'd recommend 3, as in the same as the major corporations do it, and quarterly. You go back through your policies and make sure they still apply. Okay, you may add to them, you may end up changing, you may end up deleting some of them. Okay, and the reason for that again is to stay focused on what you're doing, because the money's not going to care how you're feeling. Therefore, you have to look at money from a logical standpoint, not from a feeling one. How you feel about money, we have been taught that money is the root of all evil. Money is not. Okay. Fear is a root. Okay. Fear is the root. Okay. I shouldn't say it's the root, really, because that goes way back. But we can work with it. Money itself is simply an agreed upon exchange rate. It's an agreed upon barter system. That's all it is. Okay. So you have, when you take a look at it, you've got to have a policy book. Okay, and I'm going to be going through all of this. That's what my primary goal today is. Because when you decide how big do you desire what do you consider success? For me, I am looking at building. Now, I haven't got enough money to really pull things together. Okay, if you look at it, there we go. Last month. Now this is called shooting awful big. Last month, I made just over $3,600. Okay, well, if you think about that, let me take a look at this. Just because, if we take 3,600 times 12, okay, if I make 3,600, this is less than 50,000 a year. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, I did not make that much money last year. But I'm looking at 3,600 last month. I am looking at building quite literally a network. For me, success is going to be an active recovery center. Okay. A center that accommodates health as in traditional modern medicine in conjunction with what they call naturopathic, herbalism, and the so-called the so-called old methods. Okay, energy healing. Okay, not only is it being designed to accommodate all of that, but it is also being designed to accommodate a network put under one roof. Okay, where it's easy to find. Okay, that links that together with education. Now, this is a very big picture, and when you think about it, okay, we're talking about me having less than 50,000 a year coming in. Okay, but it's time to get started on it. Now, your business is whatever it is, however big it is. For me, I am literally building a corporation. But do understand something. I personally will never own. Well, I shouldn't say never. Unless something drastic happens, I won't incorporate, and here's why. My understanding is, and this may be a misunderstanding on my part, which is why I'm not saying never. But my understanding is you've got to have a board of directors to have a corporation. And that board of directors seems to have the ability to fire the owner. That's not going to happen in my world. It's the same as I will not open a nonprofit organization. Primarily because if I'm going into business, I'm going in it to make a profit. It's that simple. Okay. To that end, the policy book is necessary, but I've already got worked out. I'm a firm believer that yes, pay your wage, whatever the going rate is. Pay an honest day's wage for an honest day's work. But I'm a firm believer that profit sharing is a more effective method. So what am I looking at? I've already got a breakdown here of 4 different departments that I'm going to have, plus an executive assistant. Now, the executive assistant I've already got. This is why I said I've got two people here now. I'm going to require to do this right. I'm going to require countless people. At this point, I have no idea. Okay, but when you're looking at laying out your business, if you're just running a household, this goes into an area you don't really have to worry about. Okay, if you're quite content running a family store or a family restaurant, then this doesn't matter. It matters once you get to the point of going, I'm looking into franchising or I'm looking into having multiple outlets. Okay, that's where this becomes an issue. Where I'm going to require the executive assistant, an office manager, and then department managers for distribution, marketing, and research. Okay. To that end, I've worked out profit sharing for net profit. Now, net profit is very simple. That is after all your expenses are paid, what are you sitting on? Okay, that's your net profit. As far as I understand, that's the definition I'm working on for the moment. I am not a business consultant from the standpoint of I have not gone to business school and passed. Okay. I have not gone, I don't have the paperwork. This is what I'm working with. Okay. But I figured out how to track and how to actually pay word of mouth advertising. Advertising, everybody knows you've got to pay for. Okay, word of mouth advertising is the one that is really hard to track. I figured out how to do it. So I'll be running through all the numbers again today. Okay. This is what I mean by rebuilding from the ground up. Okay. Then I turned around and broke down the different departments of what they were going to require, as far as I understand. Now, this will be an ongoing thing, an ongoing shift. This is why you go back every 3 months, like every quarter, and double check. Have that laid out. Then I go into here. And this, I've got different projects I'm working on. Okay, so these are all things that I have to go through today in order to make things happen. You've got to do the same thing. Well, technically, you don't have to. You can run your life your way. These are the tools that I'm working with. But once you've got an idea of how big you desire your business to go, okay, that now your business may be just local. Maybe like one client that I had, she had a pocket business. It was just a local business, and we helped her understand. And eventually, she had to do the work, but we pointed her in the direction of what she had to do in order to get it built. Well, last time I talked to her, she was an international going concern. Okay, right now, where it comes to writing, and that's where a lot of my business is being focused on. Okay, right now I'm internationally published in 5 different genres, and I am continually adding to those. Okay, now from my standpoint, this is a critical step. Okay, having an idea of where you're aiming. How big do you desire your business to go? Now let us not forget, you've got to have the energy in your office, in the brain of your house and home, running smoothly in order to move ahead. This means get the clutter out of the way, because the clutter in your hallways is like the cholesterol in your arteries. Get it out of the way so the energy can run properly. Okay. Now, I will be sitting down today and working all this out Once I've got this all worked out, then I will sit down with the appropriate people and go, okay, this is what I'm aiming at. This is what is required. Now, the reason I'm focusing on the business side is this. Okay, how you feel is extremely important. But the number one killer in relationships, number one and two killers, are communication and finance. Okay, they are the backbone of the problem. If communication collapses, infidelity does not happen. If communication lines are running smoothly, if you've got a communication set up properly, and if finances are running. Okay, what causes infidelity in many cases is too much stress at home, so you go looking for comfort. And frankly, physical comfort is something that people require. Everybody requires it. Okay. But if you've got the energy in the home running smoothly, you don't have a big problem, or at least not as big a problem. So you take a look at how big do you desire your business to go? How big an impact in the world do you desire to have? If you're not happy with the political world, it's time to get off your tail feathers and start getting involved directly in your community. Find out how people are thinking. Find out how things work. Do not when we're talking about changing society, we are not talking about overthrowing anything. We are talking about getting involved in your community. Get to know who your neighbors are. Get to understand how they're thinking. Okay, this is critical if we are going to take society from where it is and turn it around. Okay, we're going to have to get off our tail feathers and start making it happen. This starts with the individual. If everybody does their part to sort out their own home, okay, and their own house, their own business, then it will have a cascade effect on everything around you. Because the way you treat others is the way that they're going to treat you on the whole. This is the law of energy out, energy in. Okay. Now we're reaching the end. We've hit the half-hour mark here. So I'm going to bring it to a close. I will be back again tomorrow. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.